Hello everyone, I'm back and I'm here to talk to you today about what music therapy looks like in a hospice and palliative setting. And if you missed my first video where I'm talking about what music therapy is, you can go onto the Omaha Music Therapy Facebook page. There should be a link to the video and you can go check it out. So I want to start off with the definition of music therapy, which is a profession where a board-certified music therapist uses music as a therapeutic tool to help clients achieve non-musical goals. And like I said, today I'm going to talk to you about what music therapy specifically looks like in a hospice setting. So first I want to touch base on the difference between a musician and a music therapist, because we get asked sometimes, why don't I just hire a musician for half the pay or get a volunteer? Isn't it the same thing? And the answer is no. And I think the biggest difference is music therapy has a clinical aspect. We are trained to assess our patients clinically and to create goals accordingly. We're trained in different music styles and music genres, so we can really use patient-preferred music to help them achieve their goals. And so an example with that is when we see our hospice patients, something we see often is tremors in their hands and their feet, throughout their body. And we are trained to notice that, and we're trained to help decrease those tremors. So we start beginning to play their preferred music and their tremors almost immediately decrease. And a story with that is my supervisor, Emily, was in a music therapy session with her patient. And just like I explained, when she got there, the patient was tremoring in her hands and throughout their body. And when she started playing their preferred music, the tremors immediately decreased. And the cool part about that session was a nurse was actually present during that time. So when the session ended, the nurse found Emily and was saying, I've never seen anything like that. That was amazing. The medicine we give them for their tremors doesn't even act that fast. So that was a really cool part of what we do, and to be validated and how beneficial we really can be for our clients. So with that being said, I'm going to spend some time talking about the process of music therapy in a hospice setting. And it starts with a referral. And any staff member that spends time with the patient who thinks that they can benefit from music therapy can make a referral. We will get the referral and then we will do an assessment. And in that assessment, we're determining to see if the client qualifies for music therapy. Some people don't qualify for music therapy, and we've seen music actually agitate a patient or make them upset and just kind of heighten everything in a negative way. So those specific people would not qualify for music therapy, but that's what we're trying to see. Another thing we're trying to determine is if there's a clinical need. If the patient loves music, which is great, but there's no clinical need, then we wouldn't offer our services to them. So there's got to be a clinical need, like increasing quality of life, decreasing isolation, increasing communication, connection, a clinical need that we can help the clients achieve a goal. So that's what our assessment looks like. And then if they do qualify for music therapy, we start to see them on a regular basis. And after each session, we do documentation. And then also in each session, we're doing an evaluation of the patient. And we're evaluating the client's needs in that moment. And we're trained to see those needs and to respond accordingly. And also in those evaluations, we're determining if the patient is still benefiting from our service. And if they're not, then we'll talk about termination. And termination can look a lot of different ways. The patient can decline our session. And if they do that 3 times in a row, we stop seeing the patient. And we don't want to force ourselves on anyone. So if the patient doesn't want music therapy, then we won't force them to have it. So if they decline 3 times in a row, we won't see them anymore. Another form of termination is if the patient gets DC'd from hospice, which means discontinued from hospice care. And that's if the patient is no longer declining. They will no longer receive hospice or music therapy. Another form of termination is if the patient passes away, and in hospice care we see that often. So that's what the process looks like in music therapy. And to really share what we get to see on a daily basis with our hospice patients, I think is told the best through stories. So we have a patient who is in her mid-80s and who's on hospice. And when we go see her, she will either find us or we will find her, and she immediately grabs our hands because she knows why we're there. And we start walking around her facility. And we come in the afternoon because the staff members reported that her agitation levels are higher around 2 o'clock. So that's when we come, because that's when we think we're going to be the most helpful to her. And so when we get there, she has really rapid, unintelligible speech, and that's just a sign of agitation. And so we grab her hand and we start walking and we sing her preferred music. And then she sings along with us to really help. And she's singing along unintelligibly, but she's singing with us. That rapid speech starts to decrease. So we're walking around, and then when she gets tired, she leads us to her room where she lays in bed and almost immediately falls asleep. And we get out our guitar and we play her preferred music until she's sleeping and is relaxed and is at peace. And so it's really a night and day difference between when we get there, when her agitation level is really high, at an all-time high, and then by the time we leave, she's asleep in her bed. And so that's one story that I would like to share. And then another one is we have a patient who is also on hospice in her mid-80s, and this woman loves making connections to the music we play. She loves making connections to the specific song, to a moment in her life. And this really opens up channels of communication because she loves reminiscing about her past, about her childhood, about her children. And it just gives her an opportunity to communicate those feelings and those memories, which is really beneficial to her. Another thing about this patient is that she reports the effects of music all over her body. She says often, the music affects me from my head to my toes, and it stays with me all day. And it's a really cool thing to hear from our patient, how we are directly affecting them in our music. And another part of the piece with this specific patient is that she lives with her daughters, and those are her caregivers. So in our music therapy sessions, her caregivers are always present, and we get to our music therapy gets to be used as a supporting tool to help the caregiver and patient communicate to each other. And so again, we're opening channels of communication all around for the caregiver and for the patient, and we're providing support to them. So that was a really unique aspect of that specific client. And those are just a couple stories of the patients we get to see on a daily basis and our effects of music therapy that we have on them. So that's all I have for today. Next week, I'm going to talk about what music therapy looks like in an autism setting. And I hope you enjoyed this video and get to see my next one. Have a great day. Bye.